Imagine as women if we could, honest to God, love ourselves, our body, our appearance, just as we are every single flipping day. What would that do? What would that do to how you show up in yourself each day if we took that path? Hi, and welcome back to the Wearing Your Worth podcast, formerly Wardrobe Wisdom. My name is Sarah Gale, and I am the founder of Wearing Your Worth and the host of this podcast. Today, we have an amazing episode for you with three beautiful women as we are going to, as a group, unpack what it is to really discover our true relationship with our wardrobe, our clothes, and our style. You're going to hear some really vulnerable shares, some beautiful insights, and some very strong truth-telling in conversations that we just don't normally have out in the world about how we feel about our clothes. I hope you enjoy it as much as we did. Thanks everyone for joining me. It's a real honor to have each and every one of you in the room. So I could go and introduce each of you, but I think it's going to be better if you introduce yourself. So let's start. Simone, could we start with you?
Sure, thanks. I'm Simone, 52 years old. I live in Melbourne, Australia. I am the mother of 4 daughters, 2 adult daughters and 2 teen daughters. So not only is this very personal for me, but having daughters, I feel very strongly about passing on good messages and embodying and exemplifying, how I feel in my body and about my clothes and everything. So also got a granddaughter who's 2.5 and another one due any day. So I've got a very full life. I'm also a therapist, so I help people with, there's sort of similar issues. I mean, not around wardrobe, but mental, emotional health issues as well.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm so happy to have you in the room.
You?
Okay, who would like to go next? Tash, how about you?
Hi, I'm Natasha or Tish. I live in New Zealand, so I'm excited to be connecting with everyone here as well. I am a mother to a beautiful 9-year-old daughter, similar to Simone. I feel very passionately about showing up as a really positive example for her, although I find she's often the one giving a positive example for me. And I also have a role as a business analyst. I have my own side business with that and also self-employed in that field. And then also have a very strong balance to sort of an outdoorsy, very nature-focused lifestyle, which is a bit of my yin and yang. I have recently turned 50. And I'm just really excited about connecting with everyone here.
Beautiful. Thanks, Tash. So happy to have you in the room. Thanks for joining us. And Liz.
Hi, my name's Liz. I'm from Perth, Western Australia. I am also a therapist, social worker, and also I'm really involved in personal styling as well. But my journey's taken me into the area of behavior-based, psychology-based fashion. So for me, this is an opportunity to really explore myself in depth. I feel as a stylist and as a therapist, that's something that's important for me to understand so that I can help others in the journey that I'm taking in, I guess, looking at sustainable and behavior-based models of fashion and engagement, and for people to really connect with what they wear and how they relate to themselves through that medium. I'm hoping to really get deep about that within myself and with everyone here to share that journey. So thank you.
That's beautiful. Thanks, Liz. Again, so happy that you are joining us with that and that you also have been diving into this area. So I think we're going to have some amazing conversations. So I'd like to kick this episode off with a question. And that question is, how would you describe your own personal relationship with your wardrobe and what you wear?
Because as soon as you say that, there's a real huge block. It's almost like, oh, I can't go there. There's a lot of areas that I feel I could really improve, but don't know how to improve. It's almost like each day is a different banging my head in the wall as far as what I want to wear and how I want to show up. I think that's my overall challenge, even though at the same time, it's a love-hate relationship. I have beautiful pieces, I have beautiful clothes, but for some reason that relationship with myself often, it gets in sort of that block. But it's interesting because it's easy for me to do other people, which I find in my own therapeutic work, but for my own journey, I'm in a transition as well. I recognize that, but so I feel like there's a lot there to sort of explore and make sense of. But at the moment, a love-hate relationship with my wardrobe.
Great. And Liz, if I can just mention the word block and then love. And am I hearing that you, as a stylist yourself, you love clothes and you're able to do that with others with ease? Yet else there's some kind of block and you're not entirely certain what that block is. Did I get that right?
Yeah, most certainly. It's great to be able to sort of finally express that, I think, because obviously there's that bias around stereotype that, because you're a stylist, you should know. Not necessarily. I think it's the same with therapy. It doesn't mean I know how to resolve my issues, but I can help others. So, that's
Okay, beautiful. If we just so that we're all clear, block. When you go to your wardrobe in the morning and the block comes up, how does that feel?
I notice sort of a flood of like ways of like how I want to be shown. It's almost like you're trying to explore the emotions and feelings that you're going into in that moment, but you're already trying to foresee the day and what situations you're going to be. It's kind of all of that. It's almost like a big tornado of all these thoughts of the future right now, still, adapting to waking up and making sense of the present. But there's no presence. It's this constant sort of this future thought. And then it's this, not feeling grounded in your thoughts.
Got it.
So that's a huge block because, you're just in a whirlwind of thoughts.
Beautiful. So what I'm hearing is that your head really takes over when you go to get dressed.
Definitely.
All of thoughts leaves you feeling ungrounded. Thought piles on top of another thought, on top of another thought, on top of another thought. And it sounded like, so tell me if I've got this right or wrong, but it sounds like there's confusion or overwhelm that kind of sets in, or frustration. It's just like, oh,
Yeah.
I get that.
I mean, definitely. It's just it's almost like all the emotions that we associate with come in at once.
Yeah, got it.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing. That's awesome. And I do want to let you know that those people who have a gift in putting things together, I often find that they have this whirl of difficulty with themselves as well, right? Because it's like, I had the same thing. It's easy for me to put an outfit together. But years ago, I used to have that same whirl. And so let's unpack that as we go. Beautiful. Okay, thanks, Liz. Who would like to go next? The question is, how would you describe your relationship, your current relationship with your clothes and your wardrobe, your style?
Interesting. When I visualized that, as soon as you asked the question, and I've never had this awareness before, I realized when I first open my wardrobe, my first thing that I see are the things that I don't necessarily feel that great in. And so it's not a feeling of joy when I open my wardrobe. And I feel like my wardrobe has some lovely things in it, but it doesn't give me joy at all at the thought of going to it. And I have a couple of pieces that I really love wearing and you feel good in, but I want to feel like that all the time. And so for me, I look at, visualizing now because I could see my wardrobe. It just feels very un-me and very unexciting and not particularly joyful. So it hasn't actually given me a good feeling to think about that. But I know there's pieces in there that I really enjoy wearing. Mainly they are ones that I wear for my professional side, but not so much for my personal side, which is where I feel that I've probably lost more of my self, whereas I know who I am a lot more on my professional side. So I feel like the pieces I've got there, but I rotate a very few pieces that I wear every week, but I feel good in them. And so I probably would like a little bit more in that, but yeah, my personal, when I open it, the personal stuff that's there is just stuff that doesn't make me feel good.
Got it. Okay, thanks, Tash. And what I'm hearing here is this sense of when you open your wardrobe, what you see are the things that you don't like. So that's a really interesting bias. And as humans, we tend to focus, we have a negativity bias a lot of the time, right? That we try and change that vantage point. But what's interesting is that that's happening in your wardrobe and that's what you see. So I'm really curious to unpack what that is and let's see what might be behind that. If you stand in front of your wardrobe and feel frustrated, overwhelmed, or like you have a wardrobe full of clothes and nothing to wear, this is for you. I've created a free download that takes you on a personal journey into your wardrobe like never before. You'll discover insights about your own choices of clothes that you may have never considered. And once you see them, you can't unsee them. So this is where the transformation begins. Head to wearingyourworth.com and download it for free today. And Simone, what about you? How would you describe your relationship with your wardrobe, clothes, style? How is that for you?
Frustration. I think there's some denial. I've been in perimenopause for a few years and I've put on quite a bit of weight and I've been trying to deal with the health aspect of that. And I think that I just kept on thinking for many years, I'll get my old body back and I'll be slimmer because I know how to dress for that body. And I was never someone whose weight yo-yoed, so I pretty much was slim all my life. And so I dressed a certain way. I'm not saying it didn't evolve, but I dressed according to mood and where I was. Like I always just found it fairly easy to dress how I liked. So I've found it really frustrating that the clothes and styles that I like don't suit this body now. And I've had a lot of frustration about it. So when I look at my wardrobe, it's more like I don't know what to wear. And I just look at again, a bit like Tash, I look at what I can't wear anymore. And the pieces that I'm reluctant to let go of because I love them or I love the style. And so there's a lot of uncomfortability as well because I'll put on something and I'll go, oh, that's too tight or that doesn't fit properly. And
Got it. And is it just the tightness and the fit, or is there something beyond that?
no, I genuinely don't know how to dress for my body now. There is that.
Can I have a question with that? As far as the body right now, what kind of changes in perimenopause? As I'm sure there's a lot of listeners, I hear this a lot. Yeah. What kind of changes have been most noticeable for you around your body that is different and harder to dress in for you currently?
I feel really, really vulnerable here. I think it was sort of gradual because at first, it was bigger breasts and I'd always had smaller breasts and kind of a willowy, I'm tall, frame. So it was suddenly I had these breasts that made me feel very matronly. And I'm not saying all big breasted women are like that, but that's just how it made me feel. And then developing weight on my stomach. And because I'm not a curvy person, I'm sort of very straight up and down. Now I literally just feel like I'm just this solid block, this rectangle. And I look at other women who put on weight and I look at other clothes and I go, yeah, but they're curvy and they look voluptuous and everything. I don't feel that. I just feel blockish, So when I put on clothes, I just feel like a sausage. Or just really wide, and I'll think I'll look all right. Like I'll put on clothes and then I'll go out and see myself in a photo or catch myself in, a shop window or a mirror and I go, oh, God, so it's sort of that self-concept, when you have an idea about yourself. And this is a whole, process of going through perimenopause. We have an image of ourselves as mother or a wife or whatever, and then it evolves. But yeah, I'm finding this aspect really hard because I think also as I'm still changing who I am and my self-concept and my identity and my hormones are changing, I also don't know how I want to express this aspect of myself now. Like how do I want to dress now? Do I still want to dress the same as I did when I was 30 or 40, or do I want to express something different? And so I think there's a little bit of that as well.
No. Yeah, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. What I'm hearing is there's an insight into, well, I know I changed body shape, but I'm also wondering because what I'm hearing is I can feel changes in myself as well as a person, like, and as we age and as we do go through that perimenopause, menopause, I'm postmenopausal now, and definitely feel different to how I did perimenopause. It's like, um, and yeah, so thank you for sharing that and sharing how your bodies change because our bodies change as women. Goodness, they change a lot. Throughout our lives, we go through so many different stages. Even through a month, we go through different stages. And one of the things that I find when I work with women is there's a lot of, it's almost like, Simone, you just touched on it. We have an idea of what we should look like. Yeah. And as we hold on to that idea, then anything that goes sideways from that kind of make wrong. But where did that idea come from in the first place? Because it's like, imagine as women, if we could, honest to God, love ourselves, our body, our appearance, just as we are every single flipping day. What would that do? What would that do to how you show up in yourself each day if we took that path?
I think for me, I do have a very strong image. I really resonate with what you're saying. I have a very strong image of what I should feel like or look like. And, I have a very strong perfectionist trait, which I'm very aware of. And so that in turn, I can beat myself up over not looking a certain way or how I want to show, outwardly. With you saying that, it was actually just sparked quite a bit of excitement. Like, how freeing would that be? And conceptually, I can definitely understand it, but getting myself there wholeheartedly would be the journey. Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful. Thanks, Tash. I love your excitement around that. I really love your excitement around that. And I'm curious, you touched on something I'd like to dive into. And that is that you've got this, I don't know whether image is a word you use, but you've got this idea of what you should look like, or what you want to look like. I want to know, where did that idea come from? Like, what have been the sources of influence who influenced how you think you need to or should look?
Yeah, 100%. I've thought through this just recently, actually. I think since we've connected, there's been things bubbling away subconsciously and consciously. And I've been tracing back, like, I have two older sisters, and both of them were very much concerned with what other people thought from an appearance perspective. One would, make comments about, oh, look at that person, but I was 10 to 9 years younger. So it was very influential to me hearing these things. And then also one very, conscious of body weight and making sure they look a certain way and following certain trends and themes. And I feel like that had a big influence to me having to show up a certain way for acceptance or to fit in, even within my family, because of that, which is not something I had either thought about before. And possibly where I've, from a very young age, wanted, to fit in with the older sisters who were at a very different stage to me growing up. I was younger. They were, getting car licenses, and I still had to go in the car with mum and dad. Like, I just, there was a lot of things that I wanted to be like them, looking up to them. And so I feel like that's had a big influence really from a very early age of me needing to find acceptance in how I show up, but also a very strong pretense in that, like a certain image that needed to be portrayed, and almost the very sort of, I wouldn't say like mainstream fashion, but very elegant, on point, sort of like if you think of like, I don't follow the rules very much, but like Kate, she's always got a certain appearance. It was like very much influential, certain way of being presented. And there was times after that where I definitely went into my own style, and then I lost that completely.
Where are you now? If you had that and felt that influence and allowed that to govern your choices from feelings of fitting in and belonging and being, I know that having been the fourth daughter. And so I'm curious, you said that you branched out into your own. Did your own look very different?
Yeah.
Where did you branch out into your own? In what ages did you branch into your own style as opposed to following what you thought was appropriate?
I would say probably late 20s, early 30s.
And did that look different to how it does today?
It was a lot more what I wanted to wear, and freer, fun. I think it was more a reflection of me just, I was in a really good place. There wasn't a lot of commitment, serious, which we box into serious commitment now. Not that that's the thing, but sometimes I feel like I make it a thing now. A lot more time for self, really serious career, side business, mum life. I think it was more a reflection of having just that creative freedom, and then feeling, quite an edgy style, I guess, to now just feeling like completely lost with not even knowing how what I want to wear or how I show up, and completely lost when I try and go shopping, that I avoid it. Um, yeah, yeah. Somewhere along the line, I lost that.
Oh, got it. And I'm curious when you said that you lost it and that it was quite edgy. What was it that made you walk away from that? What I heard was you couple commitment with walking away from that. And what is it about commitment, and what does that mean as far as something that you then decide that you need to walk away from?
I think it was more maybe also practical. Like, I feel like it was definitely around the time that I had my daughter, and just trying to keep my head above water with that. There's a time where I went overnight from having a 2.5-year-old to doing it on my own, going from part-time to try and juggle work, and completely having to go down to having to pay for everything, and just quite a big experience where I think I just went into survival mode for quite a few years, and then kind of emerged from that. I feel like, if I were to be completely honest, I feel like I lost who I am. Like, since that time, I don't feel like I've really provided myself any time, even on a weekly basis, to connect fully with myself, to understand who I am truly now, in that involvement of everything that I've been to, which I would never, I'm a really strong believer that everything we go through is perfect for us, even if it doesn't come to hindsight, and I feel like along all of that journey, I haven't really appreciated the woman that's endured that, or that has stood up to that, or, as always, and in fact, some of that just showing up with such a brave face. And through that process, I think who I am, in the sense of I've just gone through the clothes aspect, or how I've shown up, has just gone to simplicity, because I don't think I had the capacity, but also I've lost who I truly am in that process. And I don't feel like I've really found her now, even, like, I feel like I'm just starting to get some awareness of needing to find that person again.
Thank you for that. I'm wondering, Tash, how do you think it would feel or impact your life if you were to come back into her? And we're going to look to do that through your style essences and through the wardrobe.
The essence of it. And I heard, again, since we had we met for the first time, it has been bubbling away because we had such an amazing, nourishing call with you that it just made me feel, really been thinking about all of this. It's actually just joy. Like, I just want to find creativeness. I'm a very creative person and I feel like I've lost my creativity. I haven't picked up a paintbrush or anything creative other than maybe some online social media graphic-y stuff. And I look at my daughter who's just so full of energy and bubbly and creativity, and I want to meet her in that place as well. I don't just want to observe her. But for me, I feel like it's definitely around a really strong creativity, but also carving out time for me in that creativity. And also, like, I really want to dance like no one's watching. Like, I really want to live my life like that. And I'm so constricted by judgment. And I just want to break through that. And I feel like the wearing my worth and how I show up is wrapped up all into that. I think until I can find that breakthrough within myself, I'm not going to be able to express myself fully or feel comfortable in that externally. And being quite intellectual, I can, articulate it, but it doesn't come from that. It doesn't come from the mind. It comes from, self and heart and soul. And I feel like that just a big part that I put on hold while I tried to give everything I can to my daughter. And I think deep down, children don't necessarily want you to do that for them either. They're important, but you need to show that example of looking after yourself first.
Yeah, got it. Beautiful. Thank you for that. What I'm hearing is kind of a play with the masculine and feminine energies.
Oh,
You mentioned practicality before.
oh, yeah.
It sounds like the masculine has taken over. Oh, right, we need to get linear with this. We need to, I was a single mum myself. It's like there's so much that it felt like for me anyway, so much that had to be done. What I'm hearing is that sense of playfulness, that sense of freedom to be you rather than what you needed to do has taken over in your wardrobe as well. And I think, yeah. And so it's bringing back that creativity is that feminine. And I'm hearing the feminine's expressing in the nurturing and the nourishing of your daughter. And I often find this with women is that a lot of our femininity and our feminine aspects get channeled into the mothering role. But all the other aspects of who she is tend to take a step back. And I totally get that nourishing and nurturing our children and mothering our children, I mean, it's beautiful. And when we don't, we lose ourselves of all those other feminine aspects, we often find that show up in the wardrobe really easily. And so, yeah, I look forward to unpacking this piece and helping you to come back to reignite, because I can feel it. I don't know about you, Simone and Liz, but can you feel it? It's like, and your face just comes alive when you talk about creativity, and I want that back, and I haven't picked up a paintbrush, and I haven't, it's that yearning inside that has boxed itself. And I think, tell me if I'm wrong here, I think what I heard very early on in the call was that work was easier to dress for than I'll call off duty. Yeah, so that becomes like this uniform, and you circulate outfits like a certain amount. And so it's almost like, okay, well, this is a defined role. And so again, it's more of that masculine type approach, that linear approach. This is the uniform for this. But if I'm not doing this, who am I when I'm just being? Who am I when I'm being with my daughter? Who am I when I'm just being with myself? And what does that look like? And just for listeners who haven't been accustomed to the style essences, it's like, I know that once we find the programs and the patterns of what we're playing in our own wardrobe, underneath that, we will find your 3 style essences that attune to that truth of who you are that feels like she's lost Tash right now. And then they go across workwear, they go across relaxed weekend wear, formal wear, exercise wear, leisure wear, blah, 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 date night wear, whatever it is. The essence, because I can hear it in yourself, and tell me if I'm overlaying. What I'm hearing is, I know that essence is inside. She's just been deeply buried by all of the shoulds, need to, and now loud judgments. I heard the word, and I was just wanted to pull that word judgment out. And it was something like, he said, that there's a lot of judgment. And I don't know whether that was around what you wear or what you're thinking of wearing. And so I just wanted to unpack that judgment. What does it feel like or sound like for you?
Definitely judgment of self. And I feel like it's the perfectionist side that comes in. Like, I know this about myself, but I haven't been able to work through it. And I don't spend enough time trying to. Is that on one side, where I can articulate my feminine and think how amazingly wonderful that my stomach, I've had a baby. It's beautiful. I like the curve. I'm not overweight or anything, at all. But, a part of me can hone in on that so particular because it's not perfect. I don't like any bump showing. And then on the flip side, I can go, well, actually, I'm just going to absolutely love myself, and I'll easily tuck tops in and it's totally fine. Like, there's actually no problem there whatsoever. But it's a judgment. It's this judgment of others. Like, it's such a strong judgment of others that I picked up from a very young age, if I were to be honest. And maybe, I look at other women, the beautiful, beautiful, voluptuous, what's that word? And they dress in a way, and I'm just like, wow, it's incredible. They look amazing. Yeah, I can't do that for myself. I just feel so, it's just a self-judgment of, and it's a perfection lens that I'm trying to find that I know it doesn't exist. That a part of that comes from worth as well, like whereas my self-worth wrapped up in that, or the lack of it, the enoughness or the being myselfness. And that's what I know I've lost. And as you say, it totally resonates with the feminine side. I've totally gone to the masculine side of the doing so much more. Yeah, I'm so open-minded to others and see beauty and so women and all of how they show up. But it's the internal dialogue with myself.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for articulating that. I'm curious, Liz or Simone, do you relate to that at all?
Yeah, I was similar to Tasha when you said about being in survival mode, as a single mother, and then giving yourself credit for everything you've been through, set off a whole cacophony in my brain. It's similar. I mean, I've been through the same situation. And then I was like, I think coupled with I was in survival mode, and then perimenopause and my estrogen dropping, I've been not acknowledging the warrior side of me, like that really strong part of me that got me through all of that. And because I tend to be more yang by nature anyway, I always have been, and I'm tall and I'm strong and I'm confident, I realize, and as my estrogen has been dropping and I've been feeling I've lost some of that femininity, I've been trying to compensate with my wardrobe by wearing, I've always worn flowy clothes, but I've always dressed according to my mood and whether I'm feeling more of my yang or my yin, and just really, I can be quite diverse in my wardrobe. But I realize I've been kind of squashing my masculine with my wardrobe, like almost going, oh no, I can't be, like, as I'm losing some of that femininity of mother and maiden, going, oh, I don't want to be too masculine in my older age, because, we often see that in sort of some older women. And I've been kind of avoiding that, and then listening to Tash and going, fuck it. No, sorry. But my warrior side has got me through all this, and I've not embraced that part of me. And I'm going to say her, because I don't think it's necessarily masculine that you can be a, feminine warrior. And so I'm just like, and as I'm saying that, my heart, I was just like she's just like, come on, you didn't go through all that to then kind of like squash it. It actually feels sad. Like I've been trying to squash that part of me and thinking it's too masculine or it can't be expressed. And I've been trying to, give this sort of softer appearance. And yeah, so thank you, Tash. It sort of like, gave me a whole lot of realizations.
So what does it look like when you say you're trying to squash your masculine in what you wear? I'm really curious.
Um, Trying to wear more sort of flowy things, softer fabrics, something more drapey. Whereas, like I've got shirts that are sort of more, your masculine collared shirts, which I'd wear when I was younger. But when I was putting them on, I was going, oh no, that just looks too masculine on me. And I'm saying on me, I'm not, I think some other people, if they've kind of got a different kind of softness or a different look or anything, it can look really sharp and everything. But for me, I felt like it was too masculine. But I realized they can go out of my wardrobe. I'm not worried about that. But just sort of this realization that I was saying some things were too masculine in my wardrobe. Whereas now I feel like, I can play around with that and it can come out in a different way.
Can I challenge something here?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm wondering, and obviously I don't know this, but I'm wondering whether actually what I'm hearing is you related to Tash and in the sense of you as a single mom, there's a lot to do and there's a lot of, and you said you naturally feel like you have a lot of young energy and that took you into a lot of doing and a lot of really getting done what needed to be done. And with your estrogen dropping, I'm wondering, and I actually don't know this, of course, but I'm wondering whether on some level your masculine that doing is actually making way for that more yin, the feminine and the strength, and actually acknowledging the strength of your feminine and the different aspects of it. Like, and just what I heard you say before is actually I've called it masculine, this warrior. Maybe it's her as well. Like, why does the masculine just have to be warrior? The feminine, we know as women, if someone comes to attack our children, we'll be the first ones out there like this, right? And if we're not mums, it'll be like if someone comes to attack someone that we love, it's like we've got this, we hold, And so I'm wondering whether your feminine is coming into a wider sense of really stepping into her Amazon, her goddess shoes, her queen shoes that have all of these aspects within. I'm just super curious that you're so drawn to floaty and even that voice that says, oh, that's too masculine. I wonder whether there's some hidden wisdom in there that we don't know about yet.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. It's not that I've denied her in the past. As you were saying that and you were talking about wider, I was like, I have encompassed that, but I think you're right. Like there has to be an expansion of that. And now that I've moved up into the grandmother aspect in the family, I'm sort of hearing as well, like, I think I squashed myself a little bit to allow room for my daughters to bloom. And when you said wider, I was like, okay. Instead of expanding and letting my daughters bloom in that, I kind of squashed to give my daughters a chance to bloom, thinking that if I'm too strong, I'm going to squash them or disempower them. Whereas now you saying that, I'm like, okay, it's more expansion on my part. So thank you.
I think it's a fascinating time as we get older, start to move more towards those crone years and that wisdom. Imagine, I actually had this thought this morning. Imagine that as we got older, instead of trying to rework our beauty so that we remained youthful and looked younger, imagine if our beauty, if we let go of those inclinations that's so conditioned in us, that youth is beautiful and we need to keep chasing that. Imagine if we let that go, what beauty might actually fully shine out from inside out. And I just got this like, oh my gosh, like what if this is an absolute, just complete disempowerment of our power as we grow older as women. And there is a beauty and a richness and a wisdom that is so wanting to be birthed beyond what the culture tells us is beautiful.
No, I definitely feel the same. It's interesting because I'm not a mum, but I hear from both Tash and Simone the word of judgment in all of that journey. And I don't have children, but my journey is still being judgment. It's this judgment within of who I should be, how I should look like, where I should be at. And I think, especially when, well, you both said it, and Tash, when sort of Tash said it at the start, it was kind of like, it's crazy then how much we're judging ourselves against. I don't know what we're judging ourselves. Well, yeah, the obvious being, social media and even beauty products and, even our clothes. You look at all the different brands and labels, they're constantly telling us how we need to show up. Even though I don't feel like I've ever been influenced by it, it's interesting the judgment's always been there. And for me, it's definitely judgment. And what you said, Simone, as well, I've never acknowledged anything. I still to this day feel like I haven't achieved anything in my life. And that, to me, that's a really like, what the hell's that all about? I have not done anything in my life. And what that's about, I don't know. And it seems to be a thing for women. Hear that a lot with women. We're all getting older. It's kind of like, oh, I'm changing. My body's changing. I'm not living to this standard anymore. So if I've already judged myself all this time, I've never seen my worth, I'm just spiraling even more because I'm getting old now. Who makes worth of that? So yeah, I think that's an interesting thing that's resonating for me. It's like no matter what our journey is, whether we're a mum or not, yeah, there's this constant self-judgment. It's really like what you said, perfectionism. I think that's something I realized within myself, that I am a perfectionist. I don't think I've really acknowledged that ever. Only a couple of weeks ago. But yeah, what's that all about? Like, what do I need to be perfect about? Perfect for what? So yeah, I'm wondering how much of that is around my clothing, because I've got lovely, beautiful, perfect pieces. Love tailored pieces. Like it. But yeah, there's still something about it. That's the challenge, the love-hate thing then, because it's like, oh, but it doesn't, not showing me up. This isn't right. you know?
About that not showing me up and this isn't right. How does that play out for you?
I don't know. It's almost like I imagine myself now putting on a shirt, and there's a love, those parts of it that kind of, make me like strong and ready to get out there. But then and maybe it's like what Simone's talking about as well. It's like it's too much masculine. I want something soft as well, but I like that the strength about it too. And that's when it starts conflicting, because it's kind of like, yeah, this is a beautiful piece. It's beautiful. But then you reflect it onto yourself and it's like, something's not right. This isn't right. Doesn't feel good. I need something else going on. Like, it's just, what the hell?
That's beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing and sharing so vulnerably there as well. And it's extraordinary, the judgments that we bring upon ourselves. I don't know about you, but I often, let me own it, think it's just me with the judgments about whatever it is. It doesn't matter, right? Any area of life. It could be dating, it could be finance, it could be business, whatever it is. That voice loves to have it say. And then there are times where there'll be this quietness inside. Oh yeah, and I feel amazing. So I know it's not true, right? I know it's not true because it can give me two sides of the coin. But when it's really in there, it's hard. It's hard. Like, it's really hard. And it is part of being human. I get that. But it's one of those things that first thing every morning, we often can hear that voice, or that voice is often very present, even if we don't know it's present. So you've all talked about what that feels like when you're choosing what to wear. And what I'm hearing in everyone's language is about the pieces. And is this right or isn't this? And this is what I know from the last 10 years of doing this work. that it's not about the pieces. It's about, does it align with the truth of who I am? And the process, like the wearing worth process is to find these patterns that we're talking about at the moment, is to bring them up so that we can see what's actually governing my choices right now. And we just don't have conversations like this. It's not like we turn up to events or brunches and have a conversation how we feel about our clothes, right? Because it's almost, I don't know about anyone else, but it's almost like there's a stigma around it. Everyone wants to seem effortless, that they just show up looking this gorgeous self because that's just naturally who they are. Right? And I know this because I go into women's wardrobes. I hear we talk about our bodies. We talk about what we think we need to look like. And often we'll say, 10 years ago, I look at photos, I go, oh my God, I looked so beautiful then. And I said, how did you feel about yourself when you saw those photos? They said, I had the same dialogue I do now. So we often have still that judgment kind of follows us until we bring it to the surface. So it's not about the pieces. Once we get under this, which we're going to be unpacking in the next few episodes, right? We're going to we'll get to what that essence is really wanting. And it's not so much about the piece because it'll become so obvious how to really align who we are with what we wear on the outside. But these patterns are really, really important to understand our own pieces because whatever patterns and programs are happening in our wardrobe, whatever conditioning, whatever judgments that we find in our wardrobe, it's my experience that those same patterns and programming are playing out in the rest of our life. And so the wardrobe becomes like this decoding tool. When we find how we're playing, we might be playing small, we could be afraid of being too much, could be afraid of overshadowing other people. We could be wanting to really stand out because we feel like that's going to bring us our worth. Whatever we're playing with how we're getting dressed, if we really look at it, it's showing up in other parts of our life as well. So as we start to come back into our essence and really find, how do I really want to express in my clothes? How do I want to come home to the me that is me? As we do that each morning, we then have a greater accessibility to being able to do that out in the rest of our life as well. And that's the journey I really want to take here because it's so freaking gorgeous, right? And it brings us home. It has us remember because we're not creating anything new. We're remembering our true self. So I say to people, you don't need to find the new you just need to find the true you. And that is under the conditioning, under the programming, under the patterning. And the wardrobe is one of those, I'm going to call it an insidious place because it can be an insidious place for judgment because it's almost like we think there's a right and a wrong. And we go by other people's recommendations or social media or what the marketing material wants. But there's so much of that is the commercial gain for others. And so then we overlay it and there's another idea, this is what I need to do. I'm not saying we all do this all the time, but that's kind of what's underneath the programming and conditioning of the women that I work with. It's like, it's rife. And why wouldn't it be? Social media has just amplified that message, completely amplified that message. So I know we're getting towards time, but there is one more thing I would love to ask before we sign off for today. And you've all touched on this so far. If you were to just get quiet in yourself right now, and as the listeners, you might want to think about this as well. As you get quiet in yourself and take yourself into, it might even be this morning of when you got dressed, or it might be, if it's difficult to get to that, it might be a time where you were dressing for something that felt really important to you. What is the dialogue that goes through in your mind?
Dialogue's always a projection of others. There's always a dialogue of how am I going to look? How is this going to look to them? What are they going to think? I think that is the real one because I when you ask that question, I'm hearing that in the back. So it's more in the subconscious. It's the quiet voice, because there is the overarching, or how am I going, for the self, but really underneath that it's me being reflective of, oh, how are they going to think? Are they going to see my side of who I am? Are they going to see I'm cool, that I'm fun, that I'm through what I'm wearing? Or is it just going to make me look, are they going to think I'm dull, boring, or I don't know how to dress, or I can't put things together? Like it's this thing. It's not, initially it feels like me, self, but it's actually really about others. That's what I get.
Beautiful. Thank you, Liz. And I'm sure I'm sure that's relatable to so many. Tasha Simone, what about you?
For me, it's the not enoughness. It's the not enoughness. And it's interesting because I've never related the wardrobe to how I'm feeling, in the sense of and I keep getting my sprite, what's in the closet. As to me, it's like all the stuff I haven't faced is in my closet, literally. And it, for me, I had an event recently, which was a black tie ball, and I borrowed a dress from a friend who I think just has the most amazing, I love what she wears and with her, and I often think of her, and she is the one person that we do talk often about clothes and things with, and I borrowed a dress from her, which I just felt so good in, but even putting it on, and I think very similar to what Liz was saying, was the judgment of, how will I show up? Is this going to be enough? Is it going to be enough black tie-ness? Is it, am I going to fit in? What are other people going to be wearing? Is it fancy enough? It was all of it, rather than just really enjoying that I had this lovely piece that I got to wear that wasn't something that you would wear every day. And I remember saying to one of the owners, I had a few breakthroughs where I was at, and saying, I don't feel like I've got the right dress and I'm stressing about it and I want it to be a special moment. And when I got to the event, it took a while for me to realize it was enough. But for me, it was like, I try not to say that, but, it's finding the enoughness in that and not caring. What if I did just turn up in a completely different dress that wasn't black tie? Like, that should be enough for me if that's what me and my body wanted to wear at that time. And so again, it's that, I can articulate it, but I'd love to get to that place. And I had so many comments on, how beautiful the dress was and that I looked stunning, and whether, receiving those deeply is probably another thing. But I think for me, it's definitely wrapped up in the enoughness. And for me, I guess it's an exploration now of enoughness for whom, for me or others, and how that shows up, for me, like, where is that enoughness coming from?
Beautiful. Thank you, Tash. Enoughness. Yeah, it's a big one, right? What I heard then was enoughness, fitting in, belonging, and that yearning to be able to show up just as you and feel really worthy and enough as you. Did I get that right?
Well, yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you. Simone, how about you?
I think I was so much in my life, much like what Liz was saying. And just recently, I've just been, I don't want to be performative anymore. And I'm not saying that I haven't dressed genuinely according to my taste and my personality and everything, but I can still just feel that there was that performative element in it. And I'm sure it comes with this age. But and I'm seeing that as a theme in my whole life now. Like this, I'm not as willing to sort of serve and give of myself the way I did so much when I was in my mothering years. And that's not just to my children, that's clients, partner, everybody, family, extended family, friends. So yeah, I think that's really quite new for me now. Whereas before it was exhaustion, like, single mother and I just don't have anything else to give. But that was sort of contrary to someone who'd been very giving. Whereas now coming on the other side of that, it's very much like, I just don't want to anymore. It's coming from a very different place. And so yeah, I noticed that when I was getting dressed even for the podcast this morning, looking at my wardrobe going, I don't even have any desire to convey anything. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. Yeah. Which doesn't mean I don't care, but it's just it's a fairly new place now where it's like, okay, what does this look like? What does this feel like for me?
Got it. Got it. It sounds like what I'm hearing is that there's not that feeling of how do I want to be received? Or how do I want to receive myself?
Yes. Yeah. Very much.
Beautiful.
Mm.
I could go on. We could go for hours, which we will over the time, but I think we'll wrap there today. And I just want to thank each and every one of you for just your beautiful storytelling and your openness and your vulnerability and your willingness to bring these conversations out into the open. I'm so, so eternally grateful for each and every one of you. If you enjoyed this episode, please like it, share it, and leave us a comment or takeaway below. And please subscribe to this channel so we can have these kind of conversations reach far and wide.